Let's set aside talk of avenues, plazas, or grand urban schemes. We should pause and consider something more fundamental: the very physical setting itself. What was it truly like to live in a city shaped by centuries of defense, crowding, and... Using AI, we'll reconstruct 18th century Edinburgh, bringing old maps, paintings, and prints to life. Not just watch, but step into its streets, exploring, altering perspectives to truly grasp its urban organization. Throughout this journey, we'll shift our viewpoint, alternating heights, zooming in and out, just as someone physically exploring these locations would. Finally, we'll discover how these same spots appear today, revealing how Edinburgh transformed, yet never fully erased its past. I'd like to start earlier than usual by focusing on this ancient drawing. 5th century, much earlier than our usual perception of Edinburgh. The city isn't truly a city yet. It's mainly an elongated settlement stretching along a narrow ridge of land. At its highest point lies Castle Rock, firmly anchored to the ground. Everything else slopes down from there, following the natural incline. No grand plazas or avenues, only clustered buildings, adapting to the land's shape. No room existed for sideways expansion. Steep slopes on both sides kept the settlement literally confined. This simple geographic detail would shape Edinburgh's growth for centuries. It wasn't a political choice or an early urban plan, but pure physical limitation. Advancing in time, if we view this from the south, around the mid-7th century, the situation remains quite similar. The city still remains compressed on the higher ground. What would later become known as the Old Town clings to that elevation, dark, dense, and narrow, with most daily life confined to a minimal strip of land. Beyond these structures, the landscape almost immediately opens wide. Fields, slopes, and undeveloped land. There's no true urban expansion. Edinburgh isn't spreading outwards yet. Instead, it begins growing up. Buildings are constructed ever higher. Homes stack upon each other, with daily life unfolding in increasingly cramped quarters. This accumulated pressure became very evident centuries later, particularly observing the city from this elevated perspective. One point always captivates the gaze: the castle. It's worth pausing here, as for centuries, this site was the absolute heart of power. The history of Edinburgh Castle is primarily defined by its strategic location. It rises high above the city. Built directly upon volcanic rock, it doesn't appear merely onto the landscape, but a natural extension of it. From the outside, its purpose is clear. It needs to be seen from a distance, appearing solid, towering, and impenetrable. For generations, this iconic image remained largely unchanged. What did evolve was its surroundings. The city gradually crept closer, activity amassed at its base, and the castle's stronghold becoming a constant presence in daily life. It began to take shape as a true fortress in the 11th century, likely during the reign of Scotland's Malcolm II. From that point on, to control this rock meant absolute control of the entire. This was not merely a symbolic matter, but a strategic one. Over many centuries, Edinburgh Castle remained at the core of political and military conflicts. It was besieged, damaged, rebuilt, and repeatedly contested. It changed hands more often than almost any other site in Scotland, laden with history and scars. However, for most of the people who lived there, life within the castle wasn't filled with grand historical moments. It was simply routine, guards, maintenance. Major events did occur, but those were exceptions. The daily grind was lengthy and, in many instances, monotonous. Upon crossing its walls and stepping inside, the perception completely shifts. Its height and monumentality fade, replaced by confined spaces where the castle ceases to be an abstract symbol and power was wielded from within. If the flag visible here seems unfamiliar, that's no mistake. It represents the version preceding Ireland's inclusion, when the Union. This small visual detail accurately places us within that specific period. For now, we'll leave the castle behind. We'll see how it looks today later on. But first, we must continue descending the city's main thoroughfare, moving away from the rock and heading towards another. As we move away from Castle Rock and head downhill along the city's primary axis, the atmosphere gradually shifts. The terrain still dictates the path, but the mood is no longer. Here, the area begins to open up, and the site's purpose differs. This location marks the opposite end of Edinburgh's central axis. It is here that we find the Palace of Holyrood House, a place that influenced the city in a... While the fortress dominated from above, scanning outward for threats, this space looked inward, focusing on court life, administration, and ceremony. The site's origins trace back to the 12th century, when it was established as a royal abbey. From its inception, it was intimately tied to the monarchy. As time progressed, the abbey expanded, and the complex evolved into Edinburgh's primary royal residence. By the 16th century, this was already where... Even in the 18th century, while it remained Scotland's official royal residence, its regular use had significantly declined. After the Union of the Crowns, and later, the Union of Parliaments in 1707, the true seat of power moved to London. For many centuries, Holyrood Abbey served as a religious hub, a burial ground, and a venue for monarchical ceremonies. Following the Scottish Reformation in the 16th century, its role changed. The religious community vanished, and the building slowly fell into disuse. By the close of the 18th century, the abbey was no longer an active church. It lay partially in ruins, open to the sky, slowly deteriorating next to the still operational palace. From this point, journey, visually returning to the urban core to observe the city from another crucial angle. This north-facing view from the late 17th century shows Edinburgh stretching along its ridge, with the castle dominating. From this perspective, it's clearly visible how tightly packed the city was and how the ground steeply descended on either side. No gradual changes could be observed. The city observed the close connection between the castle and the water at its base. This perspective extends across the Nor Loch, a body of water situated north of the castle. This view continues to a church positioned right. The Nor Loch had an artificial origin. The valley was intentionally dammed in the 15th century, thus creating it. This effectively made the city's northern edge an added line of defense. Its initial role was clearly... As time progressed, its primary role underwent a total transformation. The lake eventually served as the city's primary waste disposal site. Sewage, refuse, and general rubbish all collected there. And punitive demonstrations meant for viewing from a higher vantage point. With the 18th century, the Nor Loch's utility as a defensive feature had vanished. Its very existence signaled a city which had moved beyond its medieval structure, yet struggled to find a path for adaptation. A resolution emerged from the 17th century to facilitate the commencement of one of Edinburgh's most significant undertakings. This involved the building of North Bridge. The former boundary facilitated the emergence of what was quickly becoming the new town. We are now moving into one of the most meaningful locations within 18th century Edinburgh. Here stands St. Giles. People often convened there. It was a venue where sermons often sparked unrest, political concepts were openly debated, and the populace assembled in periods of devotion and turmoil alike. Facing the cathedral, it features King Charles II, who returned to the monarchy after prolonged civil strife. Directly atop Edinburgh's central axis lies the Royal Mile. It was referred to then as simply the High Street. The route serves to directly unite the castle and the palace, linking the two primary... You'll find the Tronkirk here, an edifice from the 17th century. It functioned dually as a place of worship and a community focal point, positioned at a profound... Progressing through 18th century Edinburgh, we find the cityscape starting to showcase elements beyond military or religious might. New structures emerge, reflecting social... Harriet's Hospital stands out, presented here in a southern perspective. Its name might suggest otherwise, but it wasn't a hospital in today's meaning. Established in the 17th century, it operated as a benevolent school. Adjacent to it stood the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh, which genuinely functioned as an authentic medical facility. By the 1750s, it had emerged as a pivotal center for caring for both the ailing and... This image shows the Netherbow port just prior to its 1764 destruction, an entry point which for centuries delineated Edinburgh's eastern frontier, mandating passage for all. Being here at that pivotal historical juncture, The gate's destruction unequivocally signified the final departure from the medieval city design, thus introducing the old tollwood. Positioned right on, this Scottish building fulfilled several functions concurrently, serving as a municipal office, legal tribunal, and detention facility. Viewed externally, its existence always highlighting that order, penalty, and power profoundly shaped daily existence. Before advancing to the contemporary era, a final pause is warranted right here, at what is presently known as the Royal Mile. From visuals of the late 1700s, the city's authentic skeletal structure, towering homes and slowly moving carriages marked the scene. Governance, trade, retribution, and merrymaking, all collectively utilized, unfolding within this confined, slender tract of ground. With this context, we are now prepared to take the ultimate leap and survey what has been transformed and what endures. Our journey starts by ascending to the peak. At present, the castle persists as Scotland's most enduring historical icon. Making our way down from the rock, we once more reach the city's eastern extreme. Originating in the 18th century, the Palace of Holyrood House persists. Currently, the palace maintains its foundational role. Members of the British royal family occupy it for their formal visits in Scotland. Our attention shifts to the urban core. St. Giles Cathedral saw numerous phases of restoration and alteration. Each successive change mirrored fresh thinking on devotion, structural aesthetics, and the church's civic function. Even so, it continues as Edinburgh's leading. A most dramatic alteration unfolded directly under our perspective. The Nor Loch was entirely emptied during the nascent 19th century. There emerged Princess Street Gardens, a sprawling green area that persists at the castle's base even now. The northern growth was established, and the city ultimately shed its medieval blueprint. Concerning its institutions, the field of medicine underwent development as well. Edinburgh's Royal Infirmary grew substantially, yet the initial footprint did not entirely vanish. At present, it belongs to the University of Edinburgh, retaining its heritage connection to learning and intellectual inquiry. The Tronkirk's authentic interior perished subsequently. At present, solely its tower and outer shell continue to stand. The Royal Mile still follows the identical incline it had in the 18th century. The structures themselves were altered, having been rebuilt repeatedly. Edinburgh is no machine. Instead, its development happened layer by layer. New elements were continually superimposed by each generation, resulting in clear historical marks from various eras within one setting. The past is never far off. Instead, it remains embedded in the city's daily. With this, our tour comes to a close. If you'd like to see another city, a different historical era, or explore a unique space, any constructive feedback is appreciated. Until next time.